Hey guys, and welcome to my video about classes. This video will cover all the classes that you can pick from, and the differences between applying abilities and what class skills are. A lot of the more in-game mechanics before we go into what each class actually does. So let's go over the basics of these classes. First one, alphabetically, Barbarian. A ferocious warrior who uses fury and instinct to bring down his foes. Bard. A performer whose music works magic. A wanderer, a tale-teller, a jack of all trades. Cleric. A master of divine magic and capable warrior as well. Druid. One who draws energy from the natural world to cast divine spells and gain strange magical powers. Fighter. A warrior with exponential combat capability and unequaled skill with weapons. Monk. A martial artist whose unarmed strikes hit fast and hard, a master of exotic powers. Paladin. A champion of justice, destroyer of evil, protected and strengthened by an array of divine powers. Ranger. A cunning, skilled warrior of the wilderness. Rogue. A tricky, skillful scout and spy who wins the battle by stealth rather than brute force. Sorcerer. A spellcaster with inborn magical ability. Wizard. A potent spellcaster schooled in the arcane arts. There's a bunch of class abbreviations listed here, which sometimes people use when they're filling out the character sheet rather than writing out the whole class. And lots of times in the book, they will refer to it by its abbreviation and not by its actual full name. So you may want to keep that in mind when you go and you study on your own or want to refer back to it. Let's talk about class skills. Let's see if they have a little blurb about class skills. Okay, they do have, yeah. Let's talk about abilities first, because abilities, your skills derive from your abilities. I believe this is on the next page. Right here. Under each class, they will list the abilities that tell you which abilities are most important for the characters in that class. Players are welcome to, in quote, play against type, but a typical character of that class will have his or her highest ability scores where they'll do the most good, or in the in-game world terms, be attracted to the class that most suits his or her talents for which he is best qualified. So basically, whenever you're looking at the character, we'll reference the Barbarian because it's closest. Under here, it'll say in abilities, it'll say strength is important. It'll tell you dexterity is important, constitution, and wisdom is important. What that means is, let's say you choose to make a Barbarian. Whenever you open up your character sheet and you're putting these numbers that we rolled before into these stats, you'll want to put your highest ones in strength, dexterity, and constitution, which means your character's not going to be very smart, and he's not going to be very pretty. So you want to kind of weigh out which is most important, which is where the deviations and what kind of character you play will come into consideration, because you'll want to put something in wisdom so he has like worldly smarts. You want to make sure he has a lot of hit points, but you want to make sure that he's strong. So you'll have to kind of weigh out where you want to put your points and where you want to put your ability, and that's where the balance in the character creation really comes in. Is when you take those 6 roles you did and you apply them here into your different abilities. We're going to go back. Now we're going to get to skills. For the first time, I'm going to review skills. And you're like, no, not those. Those are the best part. They're the most fun to do. And I will tell you how to roll skills and figure out how many skills you'll have. But for the moment, let's go over what the skills are and how they're important to your class. In every single part of it, I will go over what skills are important for every class. And right here, it tells me that this is what this is. So, let's say, for example, with the Barbarian, if I go back over here, and I look at what his skills are, it'll say he has skills. These are his class skills: climb, craft, handle animal, intimidate, jump, listen, ride, survival, and swim. Let's open the character sheet. When you look at this, you can see there's climb, craft, which is usually like creation of weapons, weaponsmithing, something like that. Intimidate, they're alphabetical, so here it is. Handle animals appear, and you can see that where these things are based off of. So that's based off charisma. So your modifier, ability modifier, which is from your ability score, depending on what that score is, will affect the abilities you choose to put things in. That can seem really daunting and complicated. I know to me, I was like, what? I don't get it. So I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. Whenever you're applying your class skills, you will have these choices. And if you put points in these, they will not count extra. If you try to put points into abilities that are not class-oriented skills, like for instance, if I wanted my barbarian for some reason to know how to hide, which seems really hard for a barbarian to do. Seems more like a roguey thing. It would cost 2 extra points. Like for instance, if I wanted to put something into intimidate, which is a natural thing, in order to level it up, I would only have to devote 1 skill point to that level to add a point. But if I wanted to add a point to something that is not a class skill, I would need to devote 2 points to level it up. So whenever you're picking your class, if you want your character to be a certain way or have certain skills that is not based on the class you picked, you may want to reconsider which class you're picking, because if you want to be someone who's sneaky and dexterous, you might want to go with a rogue or a ranger, because then their class skills will match up with the things you want to be good with, so you're not wasting skill points leveling up things that they're not naturally good at. That's like going against the tide of what your character should be. And where it says class skills. Here it describes how you roll your class skills on page, I believe it does anywhere, up in here. We're going to zoom in super close. Okay, so this section of the class description gives the class's character a list of class skills, the number of skill points the character starts with at first level, and the number of skill points gained at each level thereafter. The character gets some number of skill points each level, such depending on the class in question, such as 6 for a ranger and 8 for a rogue. To this number, apply the character's intelligence modifier, and 1 bonus point if the character is human, because humans are OP, which is why I recommended them to new characters, because you get more skill points as you level up and you get extra feats at the beginning, and it really helps you if you're new and you want to do lots of stuff. To determine the total skill points gained each level, but always at least 1 point per skill level, even if the character has an intelligence penalty. A first level character starts with 4 times this number of skill points. Since the maximum ranks in a class skill for a character is the character's level plus 3, at first level you can buy as many as 4 ranks in any class skill, at the cost of 1 skill point per rank. For example, this lady is a half-elf druid, so she gets 4 skill points per level, but she has a +1 intelligence modifier, so that goes up to 5 skill points per level. At first level, she gets 4 times that amount, so she has, or 20 skill points. So let's look at the barbarian as an example. It's not, because it's not working. Okay, we'll skip to something else. Okay, look at the bard. Where's the bard's class skills? Where are they? Oh, there are his abilities. Okay, so the bard, as you can see, first level skill points. Whenever you want to start applying your skill points, which you'll want to do once you pick your character and you put in your abilities and you start really fleshing out your character, you will have a number of skill points to apply when you first start. And for a bard, you will see here, it'll be in the book, you can reference whatever class you pick. It'll say 6 plus your intelligence modifier times 4. So let's say your bard is really smart, and he has an intelligence modifier of 2. That would mean that, which is, by the way, your intelligence is here, and your modifier would be here. So if you want to have a character who's really smart that learns really fast, then naturally you would want to put a large number in here so you get a bigger modifier, because it gives you more every level. So let's say he has a total in here, 6 plus 2 is 8 times 4, which, math, that's a lot. Okay. So we're going to say 8 times 4. So at first level, you will be able to use 32 skill points. That seems like a lot, but it doesn't go very far. So you have all these skills to pick from. And as I said before, whenever you are doing these class skills, you want to look at your class and say, okay, I only need 1 point in perform. Perform obviously is a bard thing. So let's say perform ukulele, I don't know. And you write down what your instrument is in here. And let's say you want to perform really well, so you put like 3 levels in perform when you first start, and then those 3 points are gone. So you want to make sure that when you're writing out your points, you kind of decide ahead of time, look at it, and tally up your points and try to deviate them to make you a well-balanced character when you first start. So